Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech Productions. Today I have Bankrupt joined again by Jake and Jimmy.
Well, what's going on, y'all?
Maybe.
Today's matchup is, well, it's Jake versus Jimmy. Jake's brought back Vegeta and Trunks with some mono yellow with some interesting tech pieces. And you know what? Jimmy's like, Gogeta's not dead. I saw this guy place temp. I'm taking his build and making it my own.
I mean,
Yeah,
That's right, right?
it is. That's sort of, yeah, maybe.
we both built new versions of some of our classics, and we both have excellent metal leaders from our friends over at TCG Metals.
These are
Oh,
both
yes, sir.
golden leaders from TCG Metals. If you haven't gotten yours, check their site out. They have plenty there. And this is because we just enjoy their stuff so much. Also, I cannot wait for that like quad size metal leader.
The big, massive
Yeah.
Rubicon.
That's just dope.
That's gonna be awesome. There's also buttons down below. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. And there's a link to give you $15 off your first whatnot purchase if you use our link. All right, let's get into the match.
You sure you're done?
I think so. Oh yeah, there's also
So-
another link if you want to click it. It supports me, but I haven't brought content on my channel in a while.
So you can see the first massive change with Gogeta here.
The charge.
Oh yeah, totally the charge. Yeah, card's ass now. No, it's still great. But due to the errata on Broly Crown, that was one of the stronger options that Gogeta had to play off of the Gogeta Unison. And now that you cannot play that by skills, the card's in a weird spot where it's still incredibly strong, but it really neutered the Unison. And with my testing and I think a lot of Gogeta players found that playing the Unison kind of felt bad, and there was some matchups where I just would hold off on playing the Unison until like turn 3 because I would rather just go aggro with the uncommon 4-drops. And then there was some murmurs about running Saiyan Scions in the list. I was not super keen on it until I saw Legends video, and after seeing how well that he done with the list and how a lot of Gogeta players are switching over to it, I was like, I'm going to try it out. I think this is really sick.
Just a super cool guy, too. I've actually got to play him in person, so that was pretty fun, meeting him and doing all that.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Saiyan Scions is just a really good card to just put into any decks. We've seen in the past, like, we've seen decks do it where it's just a good turn 1, like, mini aggro, when most decks can't really defend against that early on.
Like, if the opponent is in a position, like, it's all 10k attacks coming at them. In the case of Gogeta, I get to combo with one of them while they're in rest mode. And I do get to plus off my leader, which sometimes I like to keep them in play, but with my hand, I just couldn't afford to lose a card from hand, so I chose to use the Vegeta on field to combo with. But you can, if your opponent is in a bad spot, you could put them at 4 life on your first attacking turn, and then your turn 2, if you have both of them in play, is, you know, a myriad of more attacks, and then you could follow it up with your uncommon 4-drops, which are double strike and crits that can in turn give your leader card double strike and crits, which is huge.
Yeah, it's still a very potent 2-pronged pressure deck, and I think it got like a turn faster with the inclusion of Saiyan Scions, but it doesn't feel quite as hopeless to play against because you do have a lot of like ability to crack back now that they've lost things like Violent Rays and Resolve Renewed. Like,
Certainly.
yeah.
That counter was really good there, because I usually want to get my top 3 search as many times as possible on my front side, and negating there stopped me from comboing off my rest mode Vegeta, getting my top 3 search, and then following it up. So that one negate did quite a lot for you, and negged me quite a bit.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, even though I'm pretty significantly down on life, I'm feeling good about the tempo of the game overall. just I'm aware of like the amount of battle cards I could remove per turn, and since you're comboing a lot of them away, I'm not super worried about getting swarmed down. And that lets me focus on the other prong of your deck, which is getting around the big 8-drop Gogeta at this low life total.
Mm-hmm. So if you take the original build of Gogeta into account, which it can still do this if you want to run the Gogeta Unison that's made the SR for the deck. If you still want to run that package, you can still kind of play the tempo game of you control when you start aggroing out with your 4 drops, or when you just want to sit back and rely on your big boys to deal with the game. Where this one, it gives you the option of swarm aggro or tall aggro. Because with these 2 cards in rest mode, if I have 2 energy up, when I swing with my lead, I can just make my lead a 35,000 double strike crit, which is huge. And that's after swinging with them. So you kind of get the option now of going tall or going wide. And in the case of yellow, where you have a lot of tap potential and you have cards like Nimbus that stop my battle card swings, I felt like I seeing you charge it made me feel a little bit better, because I was like, I can still play with my battle cards and not have to go the tall route.
Yeah, and actually, I charged it there for a little bit of a separate reason. I've got a little tech piece in my deck that'll be coming up before too long, and it's kind of a new strategy I've been implementing to deal with the big 8-drop. So, I may have another copy in hand. I don't really remember, but I do remember charging it pretty intentionally early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here, I'm just kind of thinking about my play. There's a couple of new Z cards I've included. This is a new one. This is Gohan Come What May. And just went ahead and spent the poutine so I can kind of keep Pan loaded there. What this guy does is it puts a blocker on field for me. It lets me spend some of my energy so I can get around Crown, because I feel like he's got one since he charged one. And then what this will do is let me play a Trunks 1-drop from the deck. And then when I attack with a Trunks on the field, I can combo with a card underneath it and switch it back to active mode. So I get to attack and block with it in the same turn. So here, I think you're already awakened. So yes. I don't really care about taking you from 5 to 4. I'm just kind of hoping to get a negate out of your hand, like attesting the opposition. And from here, I feel pretty set up. A couple blockers, still have my detached material and energy in active mode, and I've got a Trunks on the board that I can freely combo away.
And I want to point out real quick, that Z battle card is fantastic, because it also works in the idea where if it blocks, it can restand one of your... it's either if a Trunks blocks or it blocks. It can also restand as well.
Yeah, I think you can make a Trunks block again too. It can restand it if it blocks as well. So it's just got a lot of utility.
It works perfectly with the Future Gohan deck as well, which I think is a fantastic way that they made it so it's not leader lock, and that way it is versatile in both of these decks. Because when this deck first came out, I think we talked about it a long time ago, I was kind of saddened that these Trunks don't really work too well with the Future Gohan deck, even though they're great targets to play on top of. But I do like the anniversary box for what they did.
So something nice about Gogeta being able to combo with cards in rest mode. I could just throw down this Vegeta, give it a +5, swing, tap the Pan, and then combo the Pan in rest mode. So not what I wanted to do with my energy, but still a little niche play that you can get around here.
And here I go ahead and drop Clan of Terror, which is my new tech. Kind of lets me look at my opponent's hand and then play one of their battle cards in rest mode. I'm just kind of reading this guy. And then if you play the Gogeta on your opponent's next turn, because of its own auto, it'll go to the drop area, so you can kind of just get around it. Unfortunately, here I didn't attack first.
So I do want to say here there is a minor misplay. You've seen the cards in my hand. I would be able to combo with them. I do end up comboing the Gogeta off the field because it is a Saiyan in rest mode, but it's not affected by non-Gogeta skills. And since I didn't Union Fuse, my leader is not a Gogeta, so it's not affected by the permanent that I can combo it in rest mode.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So, I would not be able to combo the Gogeta. I do combo it, and I think I put it in my Z energy, but I did have other cards in my hand that I could combo in its place and then put in my Z energy. Like right there, I do combo it off, but I wouldn't be able to do that otherwise.
And we're going to have another interaction that I want to touch base on the way Jake had phrased it. So Clan Terror actually says your opponent plays the card, which unfortunately does proc the Trunks' auto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So had I attacked first to force these blocker negates out of his hand, I would have been able to get more swings at my opponent and then play Clan of Terror after. Unfortunately here, I think playing this 15k Frieza is another mistake because all it's going to do is pick up a block. But again, I was afraid of Bully Crown, and you can see I went to make another play there and realized that I made a mistake boarding this Frieza. But I think it's important to show, like, this is just another versatile Z battle card that Yellow has. 1 energy, 1 Z, and you just board a 15k.
Hmm. And it's funny that, I mean, I rode both of my Broly Crowns. That in this matchup, in my mind, even though Broly Crown is such a powerful card, in my mind, the entire time I was thinking, like, Broly Crown is not going to do much of anything for me because the only cards I'm really worried about are your extra cards, which Broly Crown cannot touch. I mean, the information is good, but the amount of value that I'm going to get off of it is just not that great. So I wasn't worried about playing those at any point in the game. But you putting yourself at 1 every time was kind of like, oh, I'll just throw this. Also, fuck this secret.
Help me out of the jam here, it did.
I mean, it's an incredible card. I absolutely love the design of this card, but the amount of times that I have almost lost because I put all my eggs in one basket, my opponent just goes, I'll just slap $200 on the combo area.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, so here I used another super combo. So for those paying attention, I've only got 1 left, and I haven't really got to accomplish much. Even though you're tapped up here, I feel like if I can make a strong enough play, maybe I can force you to Z-Awaken, and then from there, maybe I can get the game on the next turn. But I have to be really careful about the way I do things. And honestly, I think I make a mistake right off the bat by attacking with this guy first.
I had no plan to Z-Awaken unless you were just going to blow up on me, so I just blocked with that card because I had no intention of trying to keep it with the Z-Awaken. So I did feel pretty okay blocking there. Something I do want to note about this particular build, without the Gogeta Unison, you're losing out on a lot of your pot agreed Gokus and Vegetas plays, because you only get 1 free one off of your leader, and of course you can just tap energy for them, but that tends to just feel really bad, especially when you're wanting to be more aggressive. So the amount of cards in my hand is dwindling, even though it is a good amount of cards. It's not the grip that Gogeta normally has. Because you want to just be super, super aggressive and kill your opponent as fast as possible so that the late game hand size is not a thing. So that's something that's something to note if you do plan on playing the Saiyan Scions variant, that you really need to manage your resources a little bit better. And I didn't do a fantastic job of it in this game, but I learned a lot from playing this. Of what I really, really value in my hand, versus normally I would just have all 4 copies in my hand. So who cares if I combo one off early on?
Yeah. Looking back, I think going into this slug was probably a mistake because you haven't been playing as many of those Pot of Greeds. Maybe I could have spent my energy in a different way and then ultimately been able to threaten your last life here. I was going to activate the ability, but realized there was no point. And at this point, I've held off. I went to 2 life very early, and I think it's been 3 or 4 turns without me taking a damage. But at this point, I'm just out of gas.
So making that big swing did force me to have the after image out. And that did put me at 1 life. And one of the tech options, if you watch the profile, which should be coming later this week sometime, I do play the 4-drop 5 seconds to eradication Piccolo, which has the text that your opponent just can't activate blocker. And then if they choose to counter, you get to deal a damage to them by picking up 1 of your own life. If I do that, I die. So while the card is very strong, it's basically a double strike that is going to hit the field due to barrier and deflect. It does feel it does feel bad at this point, and I was really looking for a way out.
Got a quick question. I don't think Jake runs them, but like if he had an overwhelmed target at that time, would that made a difference? I don't know what your hand size is currently, if you can remember by any chance.
Like I said, it's not big. So I don't have a ton of options depending on how big the overwhelm was.
It's Mira.
Fuck.
Oh, but it costs 1 energy though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have been able to play it, but with him at 2 life, if I had the 2 energy, given the choice between this guy and Mira Champa, it probably would have been Mira Champa.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean Mirakai?
Of course.
Okay. I mean, we all know Jake likes the Kai over Champa.
He's weird.
Well, he was super excited when he got the foil one.
Yeah, because I until, what was it, Mythic Booster, I didn't have access to foil ones.
It was like Christmas morning almost for you.
I think I have 4 or 5 now.
So here you're swinging, and it gets the auto where it nags a card down. I think that's what the dice is for.
Mm-hmm. This Blue Vegeta is just ignorant. This card is so good. For 2 energy, this card is insanely good.
2 energy, and it has deflect. Like, I understand that like they wanted to make sure that the Z cards that mattered, but at the same time, it's a lot. And of course, you had Secret in your hand too, just to be safe.
No, that was my last life.
Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. I haven't the way where you did that then.
So, had I had 5k more combo power, I would have got out of that.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
So, with that being said, thank you for tuning in. Keep in mind there's buttons down below. So feel free to click them there for a reason. And lead us out.
Yeah.
Fluff out.
Fluff out.